Shalom. Yeah, man, I hope like my verse will be able to be heard over this recording. Yeah, man, I give praise to the Most High, the God of Israel, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, man, the Holy One of Israel, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai. Yeah, I've been looking at this coronavirus thing, and yeah, man, last time I heard about it was sometime this week, because people say it hasn't been confirmed yet in Africa and all of that. But last time I heard it was around Botswana, which personally I'm from South Africa. So literally that's just right at the port. Alright. So yeah, man, it is this article that I saw now. It was written 2 hours ago, and I'm not sure if it's in, you know, American time or whatever. It says we are definitely not prepared. It says Africa braces for coronavirus. And as we know, man, like, the healthcare services in Africa, they are not up to standards, right? So, and also, like, when politicians in these African countries get sick, a lot of them go to, other continents, mainly the West, to, for cures and all those things, man. And Africa ultimately it's full of corruption, right? It's full of corruption, and the government doesn't really invest in better healthcare services for the people. Alright, so this thing doesn't come as a surprise. Where it says we are definitely not prepared. Alright, because even these so-called first world countries, they can't contain this coronavirus thing. So definitely, man, the third world countries will suffer. Alright, but anyway, let me read on down. It says the new virus that has spread across China has yet to be confirmed in Africa, but some health workers on the ground warn they are not ready to handle an outbreak. And the source is NBC News. Alright, and here it says a health worker checks the temperature of a traveler as a part of coronavirus screening procedure as Godoka. Yeah, I guess it's Godoka International Airport in Accra, Ghana, on January 30, 2020. Oof, man. But this article is written on 11th of February. I can see the time there. Here says Lusaka, Zambia, at a Chinese-run hospital in Zambia. So you can imagine Chinese-run hospitals. So these Chinese people, these small bites, man, they came here in Africa, and now they run these hospitals and the likes. So honestly, at this point, even if news may come out that these Chinese-run hospitals, they sort of propagate this coronavirus thing, it wouldn't come as a surprise. But anyway, reading on down, it says some employees watched as the people who recently returned from China showed up with coughs, but were not placed in isolation. Wow, like you can see, man, like this healthcare system in African countries, it's a joke. Right, you got people coming from China and they're not put in isolation and they come with coughs. And this happens right at a Chinese-run hospital. And it says a doctor tending to the patients has stopped coming to work. And man, ultimately that's what's gonna happen, because people, these hospitals, many of people who work there, they're not gonna want to come to work, right? Because they don't want to end up catching this virus, man. The hospitals are gonna be understaffed, and if they're understaffed, it means that the spread of this virus is gonna be even on a higher level, right? Because there will be no people to contain that thing, right? Not that it can be contained, but yeah. Uh, and health workers have been ordered not to speak publicly about the new virus that has killed hundreds around the world. And man, like this virus has killed more than hundreds, right? But Israel will hide the statistics, right? So that people will not take this thing, as serious as they should. And I was watching a video earlier, and man, like news came out that this virus actually, killed 40,000 people, and they were cremated. So you can imagine. It says the virus that has spread through much of China has yet to be confirmed in Africa, but global health authorities are increasingly worried about the threat and to the continent where an estimated 1 million Chinese now live. Man, so you can tell, man, like people have already become suspicious, you know, on about these Chinese people, right? These Moabites. It says as some health workers on the ground warn they are not ready to handle an outbreak. It says countries are racing to take precautions as hundreds of travelers arrive from China every day. Right, it says safeguards include stronger surveillance at ports of entry and improved quarantine and testing measures across Africa, home to 1.2 billion people and some of the world's weakest system for detecting and treating diseases. And it says, but effort has been complicated by a critical shortage of testing kits and numerous illnesses that display symptoms similar to flu-like virus. Right? Because this coronavirus, man, as far as I understand it, it's flu-like type of virus. Because they say, it's pretty much, it happens in the respiratory system. Right? So people can catch it literally from coughs, from from air as people breathe. It says the problem is even if it's mild, it can paralyze the whole community. And man, once it paralyzes the whole community, it can extend to provinces, countries, continents, man. Right? So let me look at this thing here. This coronavirus thing. It says coronavirus is a kind of virus that causes an infection in your nose, sinuses, or upper throat. But it says most coronaviruses aren't dangerous. Yeah, man, but this one that's coming out, this one that the Lord is bringing out is dangerous, man. It already killed like 50,000 people. But here it says in early 2020, after a December 2019 outbreak in China, the World Health Organization identified a new type, right, a novel coronavirus, which can be fatal. The organization named it COVID-19. It says the outbreak quickly moved from China around the world. It spreads the same way as other coronaviruses do, through person-to-person contact. And I remember before I started recording, I was looking at, there was something that I was looking at here. Let me see. This ad, man. Yeah, this is what I was looking for. It says most coronaviruses spread the same way other cold-causing viruses. People coughing and sneezing by touching an infected person's hand or face, or by touching a thing such as doorknobs that infected people have touched. So you can see, man, like pretty much this is a flu like virus. Okay, and these are the statistics, right, so far. It says billionaire whistleblower, Wuhan coronavirus death toll is over 50,000, and I'm guessing Wuhan is some province in China. It says exiled Chinese businessman Guhan Weigu recently revealed leaks from Wuhan crematoriums. He claimed, based on the number of bodies their furnaces are burning, the death toll could be as high as 50,000, man. Right? But if you can go on Google now and look at coronavirus death tolls, they'll tell you it's thousand, like 1,000, 1,015, whatever. But as you can see, man, here it says 50,000. So these people are deliberately hiding the statistics. They're hiding. But as you can see, it says the official coronavirus death toll is some 800 people in China. So as you can see, man, like these people, they pretty much, underestimate the number of death counts. All right. Now when I was looking at Isaiah 4 and verse 5 here, let me go to Esdras. Second Esdras 15. Verse 24. Alright. It says, woe to them that sin and keep not my commandments, saith Yahweh, saith the Lord, I will not spare them. Go your way, ye children, from the power, defile not my sanctuary. For the Lord knoweth all them that sin against him, and therefore delivereth he them unto death and destruction. Alright. And the verse I'm looking at here, it's 27. Right, where it says, for now are the plagues come upon the whole earth, and ye shall remain in them, for God shall not deliver you, because ye have sinned against him. Right, let's look at the definition of plague. Alright, as you can see, man, when you look at the word plague here, it says a contagious disease characterized by fever and delirium, typically with formation of I guess this is babu's or bubonic plague, and sometimes infection of the lungs or pneumonic plague. But on 2 here says an unusual large number of insects or mammals infesting a place or causing damage. Alright, but the takeaway here, it's a contagious bacterial disease, right, characterized by fever and delirium. Alright, so ultimately, man, plague is also like flu-like symptoms. Alright, it's a flu-like type of thing. Coughing and all those things, man. So this plague is gonna come upon the whole earth. Alright, started in China, now it hits America, it's gonna hit Africa, it's gonna hit all over the world. Alright, why? Because people travel all over the world, and the Most High is the one who's bringing these diseases, man. Alright, but let me draw attention here where it says, woe to them that sin and keep not my commandments, saith the Lord. I will not spare them. Go your way, ye children, from the power. Defile not my sanctuary. Alright, for the Lord knoweth all them that sin against him, and therefore delivereth he them unto death and destruction. For now are the plagues. Alright, and keyword here, man, is plagues, because it's coronavirus. Tomorrow it can be something else, right? And the Most High can bring all of these diseases at the same time, man. Back to back. Alright, for now the plagues come upon the whole earth, and ye shall remain in them, for God shall not deliver you, because ye have sinned against him. Right? What does this mean? It means the Most High is not gonna deliver those who have sinned against him, such as serving other gods and all that, man. So ultimately, this thing, man, it's ultimately directed at, the 2/3 of the nation of Israel. The elect, man, they have nothing to fear when these diseases, hit the whole earth, right, back to back, and the cities become ghost towns and everything. The elect have nothing to fear. Why? Because they are washed by the blood of Yahushua, right, who the world calls Jesus, man. Okay. So, man, like this thing ultimately it's directed at the 2/3 of the nation of Israel. Right? Lord willing, we be of the elect, we have nothing to fear when these things happen. Alright, why? Because we're doing everything in our power to make sure we keep the statutes and the commandments, alright, and also the faith. And, to prove on further that, those who, do what the Lord tells them to do, who seek after righteousness, they have nothing to fear. I'm going to go to Exodus 15, and I'm going to read verse 26. It says, "And if thou wilt diligently hearken to the voice of Yahweh thy God, and will do that which is right in his sight, and will give ear to his commandments, and keep all his statutes, I will put none of these diseases upon thee, which I have brought upon the Egyptians, for I am the Lord that healeth thee." Right? So, man, the elect have nothing to fear when these things are happening. Personally, me being in Africa, man, this disease ultimately, it's gonna spread out all over Africa. All right, and also for the fact, African health systems, they are not, up to standards, and they are extremely lagging behind. This thing is probably gonna spread even quicker in Africa. It is scary, man, but we gotta keep our faith and hope that the Most High will have mercy on us, right? Because we hope in Him and we trust in Him.